Welcome to the CTA Foundation CES 2021 interview series. My name is Steve Ewell, and I'm the Executive Director of the Consumer Technology Association Foundation. And I'm really pleased to be joined today by Joe Coughlin, who is the founder and the director of MIT's AgeLab. Welcome, Joe. So happy to have you here at CES 2021.
Steve, it's always great to see you, and it's always great to be part of CES.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first off, I have a feeling a lot of our audience may know MIT, especially given the engineers that attend CES, but they may not be as aware of what you're doing with the AgeLab. Can you share a little bit about that work that you're doing?
Sure, and thank you so much for your support over the years, Steve. I really appreciate it. So let me tell you, the MIT AgeLab, based in the School of Consumer Behavior, Business, and yes, technology, into a new space, a new market that's been hiding in plain sight, the longevity economy. We are studying how technology, new ideas, service innovation can bring new life to old age. Not just to older adults, though, to caregivers. How do we live a quality 100-year life? And Steve, as you know, you've been to the lab, we address transportation, the future of the autonomous vehicle, the future of the home, caregiving, and yes, even finance. So my team is about 1/3 every flavor of engineering you can imagine, 1/3 every flavor of psychology you can imagine. And then there's a third that we can't quite figure them out. Social work, political science, economics, because aging is a multidisciplinary sport.
Well, that's amazing. And it really is. I've enjoyed having the opportunity to visit the lab, work with you and your team. And you do have just an amazing group of people who come together and do great work. How are you able to use the lab to really engage both industry and academia to, advance the work that will help us all?
Well, if you think about how we work, it's really, all our funding is entirely from industry. Yes, we have a teaching load in our graduate students and postdocs, but we have a core of research staff that works with industry all the time and with consumers. So we're working with consumers, whether they're caregivers at a younger age or even millennials and the Gen Z, all the way up to what we call our 85 plus lifestyle leaders from 85 to 100 years old. We're working in Europe, Asia, and North America to really get into people's lives, to understand how new technology can improve what they do today and what the possibilities are of tomorrow. And by the way, Steve, it's not all about your medications and your blood pressure. We want to do the F word as well. Not that one. Fun. How do we start thinking about technology that brings fun to life? Not just reminding you to take your meds and it's time to eat and oh my God, your blood pressure is higher. No, old age is about a lot more. In fact, it's about living, and that's what we do.
Oh, that is amazing. And you hit one of my favorite talking points right there, because you and I know we go to so many events where it's all about the medical aspects of aging, which are important, obviously. But, if you're not doing, everything else that's important with life, whether it's recreation, whether it's work, whether it's volunteering, everything else that can be done, that's all part of the aging experience. So it's amazing to see how you've been able to incorporate all that. Thinking back over the last few years of attending CES and the various activities we do with the industry, we're seeing more and more focus happen on the aging demographic and people recognizing this market. You've literally wrote the book on this with the longevity economy. So I'd love to hear kind of your perspective on why it's so important to focus on the aging demographic.
Well, the fact of the matter is that old age, as I write in my book, The Longevity Economy, is actually very new. It is a market, an emerging market, hiding in plain sight, because this is not about your grandparents any longer. This is about a population that worldwide now has more education than any older population in history. It is a population that I suggest has a new generation gap, Steve. It's about expectations. We've grown up believing that there's a pill, a policy, a product, and yes, a technology that's going to help us live longer and better. Why would this same population expect that at age 50, 60, or 70, game over, that we stop? And along with my friends at AARP, and as I write my book and my team at the AgeLab, there's another reason why business should be really, really interested. It's not just about the numbers. Think about this. By 2047, there will be more people on the planet over 60 than younger people. But here's the other part. It's not just about numbers, education, or expectations. Frankly, it's about money. The longevity economy is about $8 trillion. It is the third largest economy after the GDP of the United States, China, and then the longevity economy. So if business isn't looking to see how they can excite and delight, not simply medicate this population, they're leaving money on the table. And I suggest they go talk to their CFO to explain why.
I think that will be an interesting conversation right there. And we are absolutely seeing more attention being called to this space, which is great news for everyone, because this is all going to impact all of us, hopefully. So
yeah, with any luck, all of us become part of that market.
absolutely. Absolutely. You recently hosted a symposium focused around AI, and that's certainly a hot topic we're going to have here at CES. Lots of conversation. Can you share a little bit of what your findings were around AI in the aging market?
Sure, and I want to thank you, Steve, for having been a part of that as well. But we asked industry and researchers to come together to start to envision how AI would offer great power to improve how we live, great potential, but also with all that promise, there's some perils involved as well. So we looked at how technology is going to make your home more of a platform for service, not simply a place to live. How the autonomous vehicle can give new, safe, seamless independence and mobility to an aging population. How fintech will actually enable us to be better prepared, if you will, for retirement and finance and well beyond. But also other things, caregiving. You know, most of us don't even know what a caregiver is. We just think of ourselves as a good partner, a good spouse, adult child, whatever it might be. But how can technology, particularly AI, offer new hands, if you will, to provide care for those that we love? So no, our work with AI, along with Bank of America, that was a great sponsor of that, we looked across to say, what are the potentials for robotics, autonomous vehicles, the Internet of Things, and deep machine learning to power on the underside of all that? But we also asked questions about privacy, dignity. Just because your house is watching, do you want it to? Do you want your smart toilet to be talking to your toaster, to be talking to who knows outside the home? And I guess the other thing that we really touched on, Steve, and I know that you and I have talked about in the past, is that inclusion and equity. As we all know as technologists and technology lovers, those technologies come out super expensive, super promising, but we have to push that curve faster so that as many people as possible can enjoy the benefits of AI and all the other technologies that go with it.
Well, one of the things that I love about the work that you do is it's not just these conversations for the sake of having these conversations. And I look forward to seeing, what is coming out of that symposium and the research that you're doing that is going to impact the products that we're all using moving down the road. And I do think it is really important that we are having these conversations about things like privacy, things like equity and inclusion, because that is important. Make sure we have as many diverse voices included in these conversations as possible. And, MIT AgeLab has just been an amazing venue for having those conversations and getting leaders from around industry, around other partner organizations to do this great work. I'd love to now pick your brain a little bit, and for our audience, we have a bunch of entrepreneurs in the audience, and they're all looking for that next genius idea, and we'll make them have to give you a little bit of credit for this, but as you're working with the longevity economy and as you're working with all these entrepreneurs working in this space, are there kind of major gaps that you're seeing in the market that, an entrepreneur out there could potentially run with? Where's the next opportunity for tech in the aging market?
Now, it's funny, I did not prep for that question. I didn't even know, frankly, that one was coming. But a colleague of mine in the lab, John Rudnick, a research associate in the lab, has worked with my other colleagues with the John A. Hartford Foundation. And we literally just completed a study right before Christmas on how, for instance, the technologies of tomorrow are going to help caregiving in tomorrow. And we found, as you might expect, the great possibilities for transportation, housing, all what we call those instrumental activities of daily living, moving and the like. But Steve, there was a little bit of disappointment, in my part, dismay. We're going to be able to have technology in the near term, according to a study that we did with people that were both an aging specialist and technology specialists. So the big things like mobility and the house of the future, we got that locked. That's going to happen. But here's the problem. With respect to caregiving, I'm talking to all of you that are new innovators, developers, startups, venture capitalists. The little things are not getting any attention. They're very hard. Things like food preparation, dressing, washing, bathing. So yes, we can do medication reminders and we can do autonomous vehicles, ever so important. They're not incorrect, but they are woefully incomplete. We're finding the little things of daily life that you don't share with the public, or you only do for a loving partner or for a parent. That's where the technology needs to go. Not this be based upon the research or based upon what people need. What people need is also what they will pay for, what insurers will pay for, what public markets will pay for. Because it's those little activities that we have found that actually lead to disability, isolation, illness, and breakdowns of even caregivers. So Steve, technology is doing great at the big points, the medication reminders, the mobility, the stuff that you can see every day. But we need innovators to get into our lives, into our homes. And that's what the AgeLab is doing over the next couple of years. We're trying to get into those little micro moments, those micro tasks that you don't often think technology plays a part.
Well, that is amazing. And yeah, it's those little pieces that can be great opportunities, and they're needed to be able to really truly live independently, as long as we would all prefer to be able to live independently, or at least to live the way we want to live. I think there's some great opportunities out there, and I encourage all the entrepreneurs that are out there to take a look at that, and reach out to organizations like the MIT AgeLab as you're looking at where there's opportunities, because it's one of the major pieces I know we both share interest in, is making sure that as people are developing these technologies, that they're actually testing them with older adults, with older populations, and ensuring that we have them included in the design and development of products, because it's going to make a better product for all of us. So,
our 85 plus lifestyle leaders, Steve, you're aware of, are an elite group. They are not your typical 85 plus, but we chose them intentionally nationwide and even up in Canada now, because they are tech savvy. They've got a little bit more affluence than most. But here's the part. If you can't sell it to this group, there's no way you're selling it to anyone else. And trust me, they're not shy in providing their opinion, whether you're a student, a startup, or a Fortune 100. They will be very clear on their happiness or their, shall we say, unfortunate review.
Absolutely. Well, that's really an important part of this. So, well, here we are at CES 2021 digitally this year, but we're going to be hearing all the new announcements for the technologies that are coming out this year. We're also going to have a lot of conversations about what are the technologies coming in the next 2, 3, even 5 or 10 years coming. This is less of something that's particularly AgeLab related, but I know you're someone who loves technology. Are there particular areas of tech that you're personally interested in and excited in?
There are so many amazing, awesome developments, and like many people who are watching this, I'm also a gadget geek. But I really believe that the new innovation in the next few years is going to be not about any one technology, it's going to be about integration. So I'll give you an example. Our program that we have called the C3 Home Logistics, where the home is no longer a place, but a platform for service, is seeking to bring in the Internet of Things, deep machine learning, not just to monitor, manage, and motivate people in the home, but also to connect with outside service providers, the on-demand economy. So suddenly the house is a vibrant place filled with a lot of strangers that are helping you. So integration is going to be about service models. How do we make the autonomous vehicle not something necessarily that you buy, but a service or a subscription that is enabled by technologies in your hand, in ambient technology, as well as, of course, the vehicle itself. The house as service. How caregiving now becomes something that was once only about convenience, that now technologies often provide care. So yes, I believe, like I'm sure everyone else in the audience, that AI and AR and deep machine learning and robotics generally are incredible. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for service innovation. It is not about the thing. It's about what the thing can do, how we pay for it, and how, as one of my favorite authors, Arthur C. Clarke, said, how we can make it appear invisible and perform like magic.
Well, I am looking forward to that magic, and I know we are going to have some amazing conversations this week and moving forward about how these technologies can combine with those services to really deliver for all of us. If people are interested in learning more about the MIT AgeLab, or even following you on social media, you have a great social media presence. Where should they go to get that information?
Well, first, I want to thank my colleagues at the lab because they do all the cool stuff and I get to talk about it. And where we talk about it is at the AgeLab's website, agelab.mit.edu. And if all of you have trouble sleeping, please follow me on Twitter at Joseph Coughlin or LinkedIn.
Well, great, Joe. It's always a pleasure talking with you and always seeing the amazing work that you and your team are doing at the MIT AgeLab. So I look forward to continuing to work with you and continuing these conversations moving forward. So thank you so much for joining here at CES 2021.
Steve, always a delight to talk with you and always an exciting delight to be at CES. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And for the audience, if you're interested in learning more about the CTA Foundation, you can go to ctafoundation.tech. Have a wonderful CES 2021.